I'm really a little bit worried because I don't know what the heck we're going to talk about tonight. There is just absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, going on in the world right now. I'm a little scared, guys. And with that, hi, how are you doing? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to Chattin on the Porch, a fun little live stream that we do in the evenings, where we gather together, we talk about the news, we see if we can figure out what the heck is going on in the world, and basically look at each other and go, it's going to be okay, my brother, my sister. We're going to get through this thing called life. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little social media platform known as YouTube. So please, if you wouldn't mind, take the link right now, share it out with your friends, be it on Twitter, on Gettr, on Gab, on Truth Social, all over the place. Tell your friends, get in here, come on in, sit down. We do have stuff to talk about. I mean, look at this face. Do I look like I'm ever absent for something to talk about? Seriously? And we will talk about it all as much as we possibly can in the time we've got. So like I say, come on in, step on up to the electronic front porch, pull up a chair, sit yourself down, pour yourself something, and let's see if we can't figure out what the heck is going on in the world. Again, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. I am known as the fine fella in the fedora. I am sometimes known as the beau in the chapeau. Every so often, I am known as the common man with common sense, but above all else, I am known as your host. Again, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on YouTube. So thank you for being here tonight. We're going to have a whole lot of fun talking to everybody, seeing who all's out here, talking about the news, and there is a lot of news, a ton of news going on in the world. And when I say in the world, I mean not just here in the U.S. There are events that are shaping up in the Middle East right now a little bit more than frightening. But we're glad to have all you guys here. We're going to talk about it, see if we can't figure it out and make sense of the whole thing. So settle in and let's have some fun. Good to have you guys here tonight. Let's see who all's in the house so far. TBA says, sneaks in the room, looks around. I'm the only one here. I'll lurk until wingnut number 2 shows up and the games can begin. Zippy says, IR Bwayne's what? Heat melt Zippy. Wait, Bwayne's already melted. Heat boil Zippy. Have you been hanging out with Kamala Harris? Lord, boy, if you're going to talk like that, that is exactly what I will accuse you of. You talk like Kamala. Good grief. Freedom. Oh, God. Anyway, who else is here? WWG1 is in the house. Hello, Zippy. Hello, WWG1. Wingnut number 3, when we're here. All right. If you can't find something to talk about, you're living under a rock. Oh, boy, you ain't that the truth. Or he's talking like Nancy Pelosi. Okay, fair point. Fair point. Let's see who all's over on the YouTube side. And Gypsy's in the house. Hello, Gypsy. Good to see you. And yeah, Friday used to be the news day. Now it's every stinking day. And a zig hi to you too, dude. It's kind of funny. I was watching Boys from Brazil last night. No idea the why. Well, I do know the why. I love Gregory Peck and I love Sir Laurence Olivier. So anytime I can watch those two in a movie together, yeah. Zippy over on Rumble says that Kamala is heat stroking. Maybe that do explain it. That might indeed explain it. Hello, my love. Good to have all you guys here. All right, settle in, guys. We're going to talk about what the heck is going on. And there's quite a bit going on. So let's just get right to it. I got a phone call from an old buddy of mine the other night, Smiling Jack. And I've told y'all guys about Smiling Jack. I've known this character for about 20 years. And every so often he'll send me a text message that he finds something on Twitter and he'll text it to me, which, okay, cool. Well, last night I was just, yutzing around in the house, and about 10 o'clock at night he sends me a text message and says, he sends me a Twitter link, and I take a look at it. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Then about 30 seconds later, he says, call me. I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of serious. We'll see what he's got to say. He said, dude, the Japanese stock market is melting down right now. So, well, how bad is he? He's down about, he said down 7% for their day over there. Like, ooh, crap. And he said, it's coming in the morning. And boy, he wasn't kidding. We had a stock market sell-off, the likes of which, I'm not going to say we haven't seen a day like this, but when a day this bad comes along, you do sit up and take notice. Now, before we get into the actual news of that, just to let you know that they are on the job, President Biden has made a statement about the sell-off on Wall Street, okay? And, look, in a situation like this, you expect the President of the United States to go out and calm the nerves of investors everywhere, give a very comforting word, letting people know, hey, this is a one-day thing. It's not that bad, yada, yada, yada. Well, as I say, no, TBA, it was not. He did not say, come on, Jack. He did not say that. Matter of fact, I've got the clip just to let you guys know Biden is indeed on the job. This is from the White House today. And folks, like I say, give me a sound check on this. Let me know everything's working right. But we have a statement from President Biden about today's sell-off on Wall Street. So with that, listen to this.
Over $1.2 billion.
Okay, well, we've heard from President Biden. We know he's on the job right now. Thank God for that. I feel a whole lot better. I feel a whole lot better knowing that Biden's made that statement to the press about what's going on in the financial markets. Thank God. I am now, I don't know about you guys, but I am now totally reassured. Totally reassured. And believe it or not, we've also heard from Vice President Harris. And I will give the Biden administration credit. And I am serious about this. I'll give them credit. They really are getting on top of this thing. We do have a message from her. Calm down. The stock market is just being unburdened by what has been. Yeah, not just the stock market, everybody's 401k. So there you go. All right. Now, again, I'm serious about this. They have absolutely been all over this thing. Okay. They even issued a joint statement together. Okay. And look, she was somewhere. He was at the White House. She came back to the White House from all her days of campaigning, and they issued a joint statement together. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, please check this out. And in case you didn't catch it the first time, I feel a whole lot better knowing that these two are out there looking out for we, the American people, and our, retirement savings and everything else that we are trying to not just grow, but enhance so that someday we can all retire and live the kind of life that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris live. I mean, look, you talk about the American dream. I say that's what we ought to be aspiring to. We ought to try to live like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I mean, Joe's got houses here and houses there. He's got a beach house over Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. He's got a residence in Wilmington, Delaware. Hey, multiple houses, jet airplanes, Cristal champagne. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to in retirement, baby. Oh, yeah, it's the economy. I think I know the comment you're referring to, Gypsy. I believe the legendary James Carville said, "It's the economy, stupid." No, we're going to get to some of that. Matter of fact, I got a column from Victor Davis Hanson with some very sage. Is Twitter not operating right now? What the heck? Twitter is not operating? What the hell? Oh, okay. Now we're live on Twitter. What the hell? Don't be doing that to me. Don't scare me like that. Ugh. Anyway, sorry about that, Twitter. Didn't realize you guys were down. I'm sorry. My bad to all y'all. Brian just hit puberty. Yes, I did. I mean, yes, I did. No. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, it's the economy, stupid. And I've said the past few live streams, I said there were two things that were going to come back and rear their ugly head in this campaign, and hard. One of them is foreign policy, and the other of them is the economy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, everybody today got a taste of what that could look like over the next 90 days. From CNBC News, Dow tumbles 1,000 points. S&P posts worst day since 2022 in global market sell-off. Article by Hak-Yoon Kim, John Malloy, and Sarah Min. We have the following. Stocks fell sharply on Monday, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average posting its worst day in nearly 2 years, as worries over the health of the U.S. economy sparked a global market sell-off. The Dow dropped 1,033.99 points, or 2.6% at the end, to close at 38,703.27. The NASDAQ Composite lost 3.43% and closed at 16,200.08, while the S&P slid 3% to end the day at 5,186.33. The blue chip Dow and S&P registered their biggest daily losses since September of 2022. Japan's stock market posted its worst drop since Wall Street's Black Monday in 1987. Contributing to fears of global turmoil in the markets, fears of a U.S. recession were the main culprit for the global market meltdown after Friday's disappointing July jobs report. Investors are also concerned that the Federal Reserve is behind in cutting interest rates to bolster an economic slowdown, with the central bank choosing instead to keep rates at the highest in 2 decades last week. In other words, last week they made the decision to keep the rates where they are right now. And here's an idea of what the trading started at and ended at. I mean, it's just bad. Just absolutely bad. Jeez. Anyway, a little further into this article we go. Investors are continuing to sell off mega cap tech stocks and the once hot artificial intelligence trade. Tech shares were among the worst performers on Monday. Nvidia tumbled 6.4%. Apple cratered to 4.8% after Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway cut its stake in the iPhone maker in half. Other losers included Tesla, down 4.2%, and Super Microcomputer, down 2.5%. In Asia overnight, Japan stocks confirmed a bear market as Asia-Pacific investors had their first chance to react to the sour jobs figures from the U.S. on Friday. A 12.4% loss in the Nikkei, which closed at 31,458.42, was the worst day for the index since Black Monday of 1987 hit Wall Street. So, there you go, folks. Yeah. Now let's not be talking about that let's not be talking about that Armageddon stuff there. Okay, normal contraction. Look at the past 5 years for the Dow. The floor is 38 and it's still trending upward. Okay. Good point. I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, look, I am no expert on the stock market. I will freely concede that. However, I will say this. Normal contraction or not, when you have that big a swing with 90-something days to go in a presidential election, it tends to cause news. And as you might expect, Donald Trump was out there calling it the Kamala crash. TBA over on Rumble says today's market crash hasn't actually hit the economy yet. Cutting interest rates won't save us now. Yeah, I mean, well, and it's funny you bring that up because I don't have the clip pulled up. I wish I did. There was an economist on Friday who was on Fox Business, and I forget what his name is. He's one of these analysts. And somebody asked him the question, and I think very appropriately so. If the Fed does cut rates, let's just say they go ahead and do it in August, does the market, meaning Wall Street broadly, does the market perceive that to be a good or a bad thing? Well, it's this one analyst's opinion. Wall Street is they might be happy that it's happening, but they're going to perceive it as being bad. Why? Because it means you're on the verge of having a very bad economy. I've heard something about this, but I have not seen it yet. I really have not seen it yet. But and again, only if you can put your hands on this fast. If you can, tag me in it on Twitter, and I'll take a look at it. We'll pull it up here for let everybody take a look at it. But I have not seen it yet. But only if you can do it fast. If you got to go digging around for it. Oh, you mean it never happened? Oh, that's right. That's right. And we're going to get to that too. I didn't think she said anything about it, but yeah, no, I agree with you on this small time. I agree with you completely. Who cares who the president is? Let's just make sure we all do well. Or as one of my literary heroes, the late P.J. O'Rourke once said, what the hell? Let's all get rich. Anywho, let's see what else kind of reaction we got to this. From Breitbart, U.S. stocks plunge as recession fears take hold. By John Carney, their inestimable business reporter. Major stock indices fell sharply on Monday, reflecting heightened fears that the U.S. economy may be headed for a serious economic slump. The decline highlights the level of worry among investors since economic data released last week showed unemployment rising and job growth is slowing more than expected. Surveys of manufacturers also indicated a steep fall-off in activity in the sector, which is also often a bellwether for the economy. The economy added just 114,000 jobs in July, according to the Department of Labor, significantly below the 180,000 forecast. Separate surveys of business executives known as the purchasing managers for the Institute of Supply Management, S&P Global, both showed that factory activity has contracted this month. The Dow Jones Industrials fell 2.3 after the opening bell. NASDAQ plunged 4%. S&P fell 3%. Russell 2000 Index of smaller sized companies fell 5.1%. Now, here's something of interest. The CBOE Volatility Index, often called the Fear Index, exploded higher. Prior to a sharp rise on Friday, the VIX had been on a 190-day streak of closing below the historical long-term average of 20, the longest stretch below that average since 2018. On Monday morning, it hit 55, the highest level since the pandemic's worst days. The market in Fed funds futures, a derivative that allows investors to speculate on Federal Reserve monetary policy, now reflects there's a 90% chance that the Fed's target will be a 0.5% point lower than the current benchmark after the September meeting. I don't think they're going to wait. Oh, hello, my dear. Oh my God, it's so good to see you. Oh, hang on a minute. First of all, let me do this properly. Mwah! Lovely. It's so good to see you. Haven't caught up with you in a spell. Glad you're able to join us tonight, darling. Glad you are here. Goodness gracious, I have missed you, you good-looking thing. Sorry, folks, I do have this reaction when a gorgeous woman pops in the room. What can I tell you? And if you think that's something to watch, just wait till Lauren Boebert shows up in one of my live streams. Oh, I am gonna not be able to control myself. It's just gonna be terrible, I say. Anyway, Leah, we're glad to have you here tonight, darling. All right, back to this article. This could imply a larger than usual 50 basis point cut at the meeting or an extraordinarily rare cut in August outside the scheduled Fed meeting. I'm going to give you my take on it right now. I don't think they're going to wait I don't think they're waiting until September. I really think they're going to do it in August. I think the Fed's going to have an emergency. And again, I could be dead wrong about this, but I think the Fed is going to have an emergency meeting again, this is just my take. They're going to have an emergency meeting and they're going to make the cut now. They're not going to wait till September. The problem with that is, no more often than not, the Fed is always behind the curve on when they need to cut rates and when they need to raise them. They're always behind the curve. They always have been. And frankly, here's the other problem if they go in and cut the rate. I mean, someone said it best today. They're damned if they do and damned if they don't. In part, the reason they're keeping the rates where they are right now is if they start cutting them, you got the potential to make inflation worse than what it already is. If they raise the rate, you've got the potential to just choke off the economy even more. I mean, as my friend Smiling Jack was talking about with me this afternoon, what's the lifeblood of a business? Their ability to get their hands on capital. In other words, liquidity. Well, Fed's got the interest rates up so high right now, liquidity's tough to get your hands on for a business. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here. So, I'm almost sure they're going to cut rates in August. I'll be very surprised if they don't. Yeah, if Lauren Boebert does come on here, I'm going to need to keep a defibrillator right by my desk. That's all I'm saying. It's just going to be bad, just really bad. WWG1 says, so she will exit your dreams and wind up in your live stream. That is some really wishful thing. Look, a man can hope, okay? A man can hope. That's all I ask. Let's see. On a more serious subject, TBA says you're going to need a defibrillator and smelling salts. Okay. More serious than that, if the Fed cuts in August, the market will go full-blown panic because that means things are really bad. I don't, buddy, you may be right. TBA, you may be absolutely right about that. I mean, I think that analyst I was listening to on Friday, and I wish to heavens I would have pulled up the clip because it was, well, you know what? I might be able to find it real fast while I'm talking. But yeah, I mean, the point that he made was that the market is going to perceive this as weakness. And when that happens, they're going to say, oh, great. The only reason you're cutting rates now is because the economy is going in the crapper. Well, you might be right. Let me see. I'm pretty sure this was Friday when I saw this. It was just after the jobs report came out. So hang on a second. Zippy over on Rumble with a Rumble rant. Thank you very much, sir. I do appreciate it. The market is highly artificial, which means you have to spend more resources to correct it. WW5 or Great Depression is the only option they have. Drinks a gallon of Jack Daniels. Well, that Jack Daniels might really help you right now. Might really help me, right? Really help everybody. Okay. Let's see. Today's the 5th. Friday would have been what, the 2nd? Let's see what else we got here. I'm working on it, folks. I've really got to find this clip because it is so true. It is so true. Hang on, I'm almost there. I'm pretty sure I've got this. Yeah, there's all kinds of things we're going to be talking about tonight. All kinds of things. I think, yeah, this might be it. This might be the one I'm looking for. Just give me 1 second here, folks. Got to see what I can see here. So give me 1 moment. Just checking it out. Pretty sure this is the one I'm looking for. Oh, now you give me the white spinning wheel of death, you dirty no good. Yeah, daggone it. Hang on. There's probably another version of this.
Smaller for God.
No, I think it was the one I was just looking at. Hang on. I'm almost there. I promise.
$4.3%.
Hang on. No, guess I'm not going to be able to find it as fast as I'd hoped. But yeah, the analyst was very smart with what he said, and that was, they do it now. They're admitting they have a bad economy. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you ain't wrong, dude. You are not wrong at all. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, that is where we be. Oh, by the way, and now keep in mind, all of this is after Joe Biden made one of the most amazing pronouncements about the economy. This was during the return of the Americans who'd been held captive over in Russia. And just remember what Joe Biden says here.
Mr. President, what do you want your legacy for doing
Cured the economy.
I cured the economy. Well, you cured it all right. You cured it to the tune of about 4.3% unemployment, 114,000 jobs created, and a 1,000-point market sell-off. Congratulations, Joe. Unbelievable. Now, for some further reaction to what's going on, I've got one of my favorite folks out in media, Charles Payne of Fox Business. And this clip I'm going to play runs about 2 minutes, but it's worth every bit of it. And I want you guys to hear this, because I think if you're not listening to Charles Payne, I recommend him to you, because this guy is pretty sharp cat, you know, and going much to small times comment. You don't really care who the president is. He's much the same way. Doesn't really care who the president is, just who is the country prospering. So with that, here's the clip.
Host to Making Money over on Fox Business.
Good morning. Good morning.
Nice to see you.
There's just so much. I just want to say that statement from the Harris White House or from Harris was really intriguing about President Trump almost bringing us to a recession. Mm-hmm. We were in a recession under President Trump, but it was because of COVID. Here's the thing, though. The actions that were taken led us to the shortest recession in history. This is a different type of recession that we're in the cusp of right now. This is not because of a once-in-a-century element that no one saw coming and had to lock down an entire global economy. This is because of policies that triggered 40-year high inflation that have now taken a massive toll on the economy. Now, here's what's happening. This jobs report, this was a referendum, really, the market reaction on Jay Powell. I would say 60% of what we're looking at right now is on Jay Powell. Comes at his head of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve, their job was to quell inflation, and their job is to sort of unwind what they've done. They're really taking a deliberate steps to kind of back off on that. I think another 20% would be growth. Growth is slowing a lot faster than anyone thought it expected. Some did, I did, but the experts, did not.
Charles, can I just stop you there, because it seems like the economy has just catapulted itself to the top of the list. It had been there before, but really it just seems like it's prominent. And here's the difference: changes in wages and inflation since the Biden-Harris administration. Inflation's up more than 21%. Right. And real wages are down about 2%.
That's real life stuff. I mean, and that's why. What they print and they talk about in terms of, hey, the GDP was this and that. It does not matter. The main focus here was all of the money that not only did Biden and Harris pump into the economy, that continue to gush in. And ironically, they brag about things like the Inflation Reduction Act. That's stoking inflation. They brag about all the money that they're giving the world's richest corporations to build factories here. Well, guess what? We gave $8.5 billion to Intel. You know what we got in return? They're going to get rid of 15,000 workers. Is that smart? Is that really brilliant? Is that what we should be doing with taxpayer money? Stoking inflation and losing jobs? It's nuts. What you're seeing right now in the stock market is what Americans have been feeling for the last 3 years. It's just a manifestation of it right now.
So I want to go back to one portion of what he was talking about. Folks, I want you to look at that statistic. That's from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's not Fox News. That's not, me. That's not right-wing media. It ain't Breitbart, not anybody else. That's from our federal government. Since the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration, inflation has gone up 21%, and our wages have gone down almost 2% in 3.5 years. Now, just let that sink in. Let that sink in. Think about every time you go to the gas station, the grocery store, maybe go out to eat if you even do. Just let that number sink in and remember this. One of the people that brought you that wants you to vote for her this November. When your friends are out there thinking about, should I vote for Kamala or not? Hey, just take a snapshot of this and show it to them, and then say, compliments of Kamala Harris. And by the way, she wants you to vote for her in November. Then just see how much of a friend you've got after that if they don't give you a cussing for it. Now, okay, hang on a minute. Trump's not totally off the hook on this in my book, okay? That money he spent during COVID, $5 trillion here and a few, okay. Trump's got some blame on this, but not nearly as much. Not nearly as much as Biden and Harris. Because here's the thing. Around about September, the economy was already coming out of the COVID recession. We shut down our economy in 2020. We cranked it back up again. Unheard of in human history. But even for the self-inflicted damage that we did to ourselves by shutting down the economy, by September and October, the economy was coming right out of it. People were going back to work, albeit maybe not quite at the same levels they were before COVID hit and what we did in response to it. But Trump's got some blame as far as the spending of the money. However, when people like Larry Summers, who's the president of Harvard at one time, was telling the Biden administration in early 2021, don't do it, don't do it, don't spend, don't do this Inflation Reduction Act. You will stoke inflation doing it. They went and did it anyway. So, yeah. Oh, honey, I agree with this completely right now. I agree. Well, of course, on the other hand, I'm trying to lose some weight right now. So me and pizza are becoming, I won't say distant friends, but we're not as friendly as we used to be. Let's put it like that. Which, by the way, if I may give you guys a report, I am truly indeed trying to lose some weight. I started my weight loss journey. Good evening, good night. Started my weight loss journey at about 249.8. So you might as well call it 250. Got on the scale Sunday morning after about 3 weeks of what I'm doing right now, or the program I'm on, and I'm now down to 241. I am very happy. Very, very happy. And God willing, I'll be cutting even more off of it. So there you go. Before you know it, I'll be so skinny you won't even be able to see me. I have to turn sideways to let you guys know I'm here. Thank you. I appreciate that. I will keep you guys. I'll keep you guys updated. You're at the gym. Very good, sir. Very, very good. WWG, I was wondering why your hat looks so big. Well, you know. And yeah, so yeah, I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight. I will keep you guys updated. I'll try and do it on a Monday. How tall am I? I am, well, in my mind, I'm 6'2". The reality, however, is I'm 5'10". So there you go. I am 5 foot 10 inches. So yeah, there you go with that. Now, one other aspect. Thank you. Appreciate it. One other aspect to this whole thing that happened today, and I want to tie this in because it's very, very important. For that, darling. Oh, God. Daggone it, and you're taken. That's just, anyway. there is one aspect to this, and I want to tie this in. This is a tweet from J.D. Vance. Like I said, the political people were making their statements today, but this one bears commentary. This moment could set off a real economic calamity around the globe. It requires steady leadership, the kind that President Trump delivered for 4 years. Kamala Harris is too afraid to answer media questions and cannot lead us in these troubled times. Hashtag where's Kamala? Okay. I want to bring this back because this deserves some commentary. And I want to go back to Gypsy's comment from a little bit earlier. Let me find it here. Did I hear Kamala's statement today on what happened in the stock market? Well, no, I didn't. And why? Because it never happened. Folks, we have got 90-something days to go. She cannot do this forever. They're going to try and make sure she can't do it. She doesn't have to do it for the next 90 days, but they're trying to hide her. This would have been a absolutely great moment for her to get out there and say something about this. I mean, look, she's trying to ask you and I to vote for her or the American people in general. Okay, I don't care if you're a married woman, a single mom, a single dad, a married husband. I don't care if you're a grandparent on a pension. I don't care if you're an aunt or an uncle or anybody else. Now, granted, this is a one-day event, but people start wondering, am I okay? Am I secure? Are my finances going to be okay? Where is the reassurance from the presumptive Democrat nominee? No, I can't even call her presumptive anymore. Where is the reassurance from the Democrat nominee that the economy is fine, it's good, and she and Joe Biden have a good handle on everything? Where's the statement? Where's her statement about what does this event mean in the short and long term? Where is her statement about what is she going to do about the situations about inflation, about job growth, which we didn't have come Friday? Where is she? I mean, look, people could say J.D. Vance is just being partisan about this, but he's not, but not really. Where is she? Where is her statement to the American people? No, she hasn't. She's given one unscripted statement to the press, and that was at the prisoners coming home from Russia the other night. That's it. She hasn't said boo one word. And I'm not surprised by this at all. They have shoved Joe Biden off in the corner, they being whoever's running the White House at this point, and God only knows who that is. They have got Joe Biden shoved off in the corner, and they, bring him out every so often just to let everybody know, hey, Joe's still president. Not running for president, mind you, but he's still president, which sort of begs the question, if he's not running for president, why is he still the president? Oh, I saw that WWG one where he got on the wrong airplane. Oh yeah. That was absolutely just unbelievable. Good night. I absolutely love you. I absolutely love you. Yeah, I mean, not a word from either one of them, by the way. From either one of them. Yeah, Leah, I agree with this completely, darling. I absolutely agree. And here's the thing. I know what a lot of people are thinking when they hear me ask that question. Okay, and it's totally fair. Okay. Well, yeah, you guys are expecting her to make statements about this stuff. You're just being partisan. No, wait a minute. Hey, she's trying to ask millions of people in this country to vote for her. Now, I realize that the media and the Democrat Party is trying to give America a collective cacklegasm. We've been talking about that for weeks now. But sooner or later, the cacklegasm wears off, and you got to get down to brass tacks reality. Where is she at on all this stuff? I mean, what are they going to do for the next 2 weeks? Keep her squirreled away like they did Joe Biden for 2020? I mean, they did it once. I'm pretty sure they can do it again, but I'm not so sure they can get away with it this time. The economy is right on the edge, of going in the tank if it's not there already. Okay? Yeah, well, that's probably true too. That's probably very true. They cannot keep her hidden forever. She's got to start making statements to the press. And I don't mean off of a damn teleprompter. I mean actually answering questions. Yeah. Hide and go seek, the presidential edition. Very true. Very, very true. Oh, goodness. Well, that's what's going on in the markets. Now let's turn our attentions to foreign affairs. And no, I don't mean Kamala. Never mind. Anyway, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. And this live stream that you have found is called Chattin on the Porch. We get together Monday through Thursday, every Thursday night at 7:30 Eastern. So if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please go ahead and do so on both Rumble and YouTube. The Rumble channel is growing by leaps and bounds. YouTube kind of goes up and down. It goes through its gyrations. We're getting there. We're getting close. We're getting close to 1,000 on YouTube, and we'll get there. We will get there before the end of the year. I got a really good feeling. I really do. But if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe on both places. Also, please hit the thumbs up. For some reason, that gentleman, Mr. Algorithm, likes it very much when you do that. He tends to smile favorably upon my efforts, and I'm always trying to get him to smile on my efforts and make this going little concern a going big concern. So subscribe, hit the thumbs up, share the link around, and hit the bell for notifications. Let's make sure you're always aware when I'm putting out new live streams, new videos, new interviews, which, by the way, the unofficial economist of the electronic front porch has been contacted. Dr. Robin McCutcheon has been reached out to. She's going to be coming back on the channel somewhere, I'd say, in the next 2 weeks, probably sometime next week, depending on I shot her off a date just before I started up the live stream tonight, and we're going to be talking about this and all kinds of other things. So, yes, Dr. Robin McCutcheon, professor of economics at Marshall University, nationally renowned economist, and friend of the front porch, is coming back on the channel here in the very near future. Just as soon as I've got a date and time locked in, I will let you guys know, and we will sit down with America's favorite economist. And yes, I am absolutely looking forward to her take on all of this nonsense. So with that, let us shift gears to foreign affairs. And like I said, no, I don't mean the ones that Kamala Harris may or may not have had, according to rumor. All right. Wait a minute. Hold it. Hey, we have a statement. We have a statement from Kamala Harris. Somebody just tweeted me something. We have a statement from Kamala. Well, it's not necessarily related to what happened today in the markets, but she is prepared to talk about what's going on around the world, particularly over in the Middle East. So with that, ladies, and this apparently was done just out of doors, maybe at the vice president's residence in D.C., the Naval Observatory. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to her statement. And with that, from Vice President Kamala Harris.
Kamala, Madam Vice President, do you have anything to say to the American people?
Yes. I want to remind all of us that you exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you. Okay? And let me be clear here. We have a fight ahead of us. It's a hard fight. But we are fighting for more than president. We are fighting okay, for the freedom of our democracy. Okay, it's very serious. Okay, and so we have to vote, either voting for divisiveness or with a well of knowledge of what we can be, unburdened by what has been. As my mother would always tell me, you think you just fell out of a coconut tree? We are not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back.
Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Well, okay. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling a whole lot better about what's going on in the world now that I've heard that message from Kamala Harris. And there is a big fight ahead of us. I tell you. WWG1 says, Kamala in drag. I love it. I wonder if Kamala's armpits are as hairy as her face. Ew. Ew, what a question to ask. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. My audience, I tell you what, sometimes I just sit there and want to go, oh. Let's see. I do not endorse this joke in any way, shape, or form. I denounce this sort of language. I really cannot believe that this sort of thing is going around the internet today. That is just awful. You know. Yeah, I denounce this language. I denounce it. I am now I am unburdened. Well, that is true. That is indeed true, small time, and I am glad that as a responsible member of this community that you are bringing out that point. Yes, these jokes indeed do suck. Hey-oh. I love you guys. I absolutely love you. WWG1 says, I denounce this language from the Rumble platform as well. Well, very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, the Middle East. Let's get serious here. And it is getting serious. It really, truly is getting serious over there. This is from last week from ABC News. U.S. sends more fighter jets and ships to the Middle East ahead of possible Iranian retaliation. Pentagon is also to maintain consistent aircraft carrier presence in the region. Article by Luis Martinez and Matt Seiler. We've got the following. The Pentagon will send an additional fighter squadron and more warships to the Middle East to help defend Israel should Iran react militarily to this week's assassination of Hamas's top political leader in Tehran. That Iran
for a little comedy too. Yes, exactly. That is my bread and butter, of course. So anytime there's
talking. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, back to the article. I apologize for that untoward interruption, as Keanu C. Thompson might say, the Duchess. The United States will also maintain an aircraft carrier presence in the Middle East as Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordered the USS Abraham Lincoln to replace the USS Theodore Roosevelt that was on a short-term deployment to the Middle East. The deployments follow President Joe Biden's commitment to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Thursday about a new defensive U.S. military deployment in the region. So we are sending a carrier group to replace another carrier group. That was as of Friday. Since then, it's gotten way more serious. I've got the Associated Press with an update, and this just broke about probably in the past 2 hours. So let me pop this up on screen. From the Associated Press, the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah has said it launched a drone attack early Monday on northern Israel that the U.S. military said wounded 2 Israeli troops. The violence came amid fears of an all-out regional war following the killings last week of a senior Hezbollah commander in Lebanon and Hamas's top political leader in Iran. The Iranian-backed Hezbollah said it targeted a military base in northern Israel in response to attacks and assassinations by Israel in several villages in southern Lebanon. The attack did not appear to be the more intense retaliation that's expected from Iran and its allied militias. Israel and Hezbollah have exchanged near-daily strikes for the past 10 months during the war in Gaza, but last week's assassinations of Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh in Iran's capital and Hezbollah commander Faoud Shukr in Beirut sent regional tensions soaring. The head of Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard threatened Israel on Monday over the assassination of Haniyeh, warning that Israel was digging its own grave with its actions against Hamas. Israel's defense minister said the military is ready for a swift transition to offense. And Biden has been briefed on U.S. military efforts to support Israel in case of another attack. I heard about this, but I have not. I've heard about it. I've seen it, but I have not watched it and listened to it. So, yeah. TBA says, sounds like the Middle East is about to get hotter. Yeah. Very sadly, you're right, my friend. Very much so. We have some more updates. U.S. troops have now been hit. This is from the UK Daily Mail. America's Ain al-Assad base in Iraq is hit by missiles as Middle East crisis spirals. Article by Rachel Bowman and Germania Rodriguez Paleo from the UK Daily Mail. We have the following. Rockets were fired at America's Ain al-Assad air base in Iraq, injuring multiple troops, security forces said, confirmed on Monday. The base in the west of the country was targeted by two Soviet-made Katyusha rockets amid soaring tensions in the Middle East, with Iran threatening to strike Israel as early as tonight. The attack injured several American service personnel, security forces confirmed. It is not immediately clear who is behind the attack. However, Iran's proxy forces in Iraq and Syria frequently attack U.S. bases at times of heightened tension. Joe Biden was already scheduled to meet with the national security team in the Situation Room today as the lame duck president seeks to soothe blistering tensions between Iran and Israel after the Jewish state assassinated Hamas leaders in Tehran and Beirut, Lebanon last week. Yeah, it's getting dicier and dicier, ladies and gentlemen. TBA says, it would be nice to have some on-the-ground verification of that hit of the American base in Iraq. I don't disagree with that, because right now we are getting fog of war reports as far as I'm concerned. Then we've got this little nugget that just broke about again a little over 2 hours ago from the New York Post. Israel takes out commander of elite Hezbollah unit in drone strike. This is apparently more recent. Israeli forces killed a commander of Hezbollah's elite Radwan unit in a drone strike over southern Lebanon on Monday, officials say. Video of the attack shows the moment the Israel Defense Force drone focuses on a car carrying Ali Jamal Adin Jawad on a dirt road in the village of Aaba, with a missile fired within seconds to blow up the vehicle. The car erupts into smoke and flames, leaving only debris in the wake as the blast manages to avoid vehicles in front of Jawad's. Let me see if I can see if I've got a video here. Not so much. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Hang on. Let me back this up to the beginning. Now, let me make sure this is what we're talking about here. Is this it? No, this isn't it. Ah, no, never mind. Wrong thing. Yeah, Brian, it would help tremendously if you would read the... All right, there's the car. There's the explosion. That's who got killed. You're not getting an argument from me on this one, Robert. You're not getting an argument from me, my friend. Not at all. Not in the slightest. WWG1 over on Rumble says, I remember the original broadcast of War of the Worlds on radio, the adaptation of H.G. Wells' book. The entire country believed that we were being invaded by aliens, but it was all made up. The power of media. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, we've got all kinds of crap breaking loose right now, and none of it's good. None of it is good. So, folks, yeah, like I said, the economy and foreign policy are going to rear their ugly head in the next 90 days. And I wholeheartedly agree. With J.D. Vance. Where's Kamala? Where is she? Why are we not hearing from her? She's not the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party anymore. She's not a theoretical possibility. She's it. They voted her in last week. She is the representative of the Democrat Party, and she's also the vice president of the United States. Where is she? Where's she at? Why are we not hearing from her? I want to know her statements on these matters. I don't want to hear it from her spokesperson. I don't want to hear it from a campaign surrogate. I want to hear it from her. Look, people can get mad at Donald Trump all they want to. They can say whatever they want to about Donald Trump, but Donald Trump will talk to the issues. You may not agree with how he talks to the issues. You may not like what he says when he does talk to the issues, but Donald Trump will talk to the issues. Where's Kamala? And that is not an unfair criticism. The world is right on the edge of absolutely going up in flames, particularly the Middle East. Where's Kamala? Where is she? I want to hear it from her. What is she going to do to de-escalate the problem, de-escalate the tensions, and what is she going to do to try and promote peace in the Middle East? What is her position on the Israeli war with Hamas? What is her position on Iran? What does she think we ought to be doing? I haven't heard a word from her yet. So, maybe somewhere in the next 90 days, we might actually hear from the person who's proposing to be the leader of the free world. I mean, after all, Kamala, you are out there getting ready to ask everybody for their votes. Don't you think you kind of owe it to the American people to tell us what you think about these issues? Or are you just going to hide behind your Democrat operatives that are running your campaign and just smile and wave and hopefully don't cackle too much and scare everybody to death? I mean, honestly, Madam Vice President, if you want us to vote for you, if you want us to vote for you, you kind of got to tell us what you want to do. Just sitting there saying, "Oh, I'm Kamala Harris and I'm not Donald Trump," that's not going to get it done, lady. Let's hear it. Anyhow. All right, tell you what, it is the bottom of the hour. Well, I'm timing this show pretty well today. I give you that. Let me do a real quick commercial. We will switch gears to something a little bit more political. My name is Brian Trippett, and if you have happened upon this live stream, you have found your way to Chattin on the Porch. This is a live stream that I do through the week with these wonderful people on Rumble and YouTube who are here with me as my audience, and I love all of them. So if you happen to find your way here and you like what we're doing, like what we're talking about, and like the way we're saying it and presenting it, do me a favor. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel right now. I would really appreciate it. You can subscribe on Rumble and YouTube. I have a channel on both places. I would really appreciate your subscription. I'm working very hard to try and grow this thing into something really neat and fun, not just for myself, but for everybody. And I can do that with your help. So please go ahead and subscribe. Also, as TBA over on Rumble says, please hit the thumbs up. That's right. Hit that thumbs up button, daggone it. Smash the crap out of that thing. Mr. Algorithm loves it when you give me a thumbs up. So please, please, please give me a thumbs up as often and as much as you possibly can on this live stream. I would genuinely appreciate it. Share the link around. Hit the bell for notifications. Let's make Fedora Nation the biggest audience on the internet. It's already the smartest audience on the internet. It's also the funniest audience on the internet. Now let's make it the biggest, smartest, funniest audience on the internet. So there you go. All right. Let us shift gears. Kamala Harris's vice presidential pick. Now, I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh with malicious glee. But if ever I've watched a case of a pack of rabid dogs eating their own, it might be this fight over who's going to be her vice presidential nominee. Now, as with all things in life, this started out innocently enough. I mean, I've heard the name of U.S. Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona. I've heard the name Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky. I've heard the name Gretchen Whitmer. I've heard the name Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina. I've heard the name Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. I've heard the name Pete Buttigieg, the current Secretary of Transportation. I've heard the name Tim Walz of Minnesota. And as these things go, the list of names gets winnowed down and winnowed down and winnowed down and winnowed down. Well, it got down to Shapiro, Buttigieg, Beshear, Walz, and who was the other one? Kelly. And that was probably as of Thursday or Friday last week. Well, now apparently the knives are coming out, and it's getting really, really nasty. I take you to the pages of thehill.com. And when I say it's nasty, I think you're going to understand what I'm talking about when we take a look at this article. By Julianne Manchester and Amy Parnes, headline, Harris Vice Presidential Battle Gets Nasty. The battle to become Vice President Harris's running mate is turning increasingly ugly as a decision nears and Democrats rally around their own preferred picks. Progressives angered by Israel's war in Gaza have increasingly targeted Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, who is Jewish, over his stances on Israel and handling of pro-Palestinian protests. Similarly, Senator John Fetterman also flagged concerns about Shapiro to Harris's team, according to Politico. Now, I want to stop here for 1 second and talk about this last sentence about Fetterman. It's a little bit more than having concerns about Shapiro. I haven't got the Politico article pulled up, but I've been reading about this all weekend. And there's a reason that Fetterman is trying to convince Harris through back channels to not take Josh Shapiro, and basically gets down to this. Fetterman supposedly has told Kamala Harris, okay, dude, he would say that, of course, dude, do not take Shapiro. Shapiro will stab you in the back. Apparently, Fetterman is of the opinion, and this has been said by a number of people, so it's not just Politico repeating this. Fetterman's worried that if Kamala Harris picks Shapiro, that before Harris realizes what's happened, Shapiro is going to sink the political knife into her back. He'll start leaking stuff from inside the campaign, or if they get elected, God forbid, that he'll start leaking stuff from inside the White House. And before she realizes it, she's going to have the same fate suffered that Joe Biden did, where she's going to be put out and Shapiro is going to be president. And see, here's the thing. Shapiro's support is a mile wide, and it may very well be an inch deep. You know, really. You know, it's funny you say this, Seabass. I was talking about this with my buddy Smiling Jack the other night. I mean, Fetterman is a lefty. I know he's a lefty, but every so often he'll say or do something that makes you go, you know what? I know you're a Democrat, but daggone it, on that one, I really like what you're having to say. I mean, seriously. And frankly, if what Fetterman is saying about Shapiro is true, then I give Fetterman credit. He's looking out for Kamala Harris on this. I don't necessarily like the Democrat Party, but yeah, he's like, lady, you do not want to take this guy. He will knife you in the back. Don't do it. He will. It's gonna be like that image of Anthony Perkins from Psycho. You know, don't do it. So yeah, that's what Fetterman's trying to get the message to Kamala Harris. Now, the other part of it is, to be perfectly frank, I mean, let's just get right down to it. Shapiro's Jewish. She takes Shapiro. Yeah, she might win Pennsylvania, but she runs the risk of losing Michigan and maybe even Minnesota. Because the Muslim American communities are so heavy in those two states that putting a Jewish man on the ticket who is as pro-Israel as he is, you're endangering a very big wing of the Democrat Party. And you can't tell me that's not going into their calculation when she's thinking about this. Okay. Anyway, back to the article from thehill.com. The left wing of the Democrat Party is increasingly pushing for Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to be Harris's pick. A number of House Democrats have been trying to boost Walz, a source familiar with the conversations have said. Senator Mark Kelly, Democrat from Arizona, another top contender, has seen some union leaders publicly question whether he should get the nod, though the talk has not reached the nastiness of the debate over Shapiro. The vice presidential battle, some strategists say, is starting to resemble a Democrat primary fight. Quote, this is probably the closest to a primary the Democrats get this cycle, and that explains why this has gotten so high stakes, said one Democrat strategist who has worked on recent presidential campaigns. Many Democrats are looking at this as the last opportunity to impact the ticket and potentially the last opportunity to have an impact on the White House until 2028 or 2032, so you're seeing a lot of campaigning. So yeah, there's that going on. Now, yeah, well, and this is supposedly another reason. You know, this is supposedly another reason. Although he says he was a volunteer of some kind, not in the IDF. Well, maybe not. Yeah, I agree with this too. Fetterman's brain farts are actually truth bombs. Very, very true. Very true indeed. Very true. Oh, good night. No. Ladies and gentlemen, I denounce this language. Good night. I cannot believe you are saying these sort of things in my chat. I denounce as being very untoward. I'm just saying. Very untoward. Oh my goodness. Just awful. Awful, I say. Awful. You know, that I don't know with Fetterman. I tell you, I'm serious. You never know quite with Fetterman. Well, okay. Some say. I agree. WWG1 over on Rumble says, I took a Harris poll. I asked everyone I know named Harris what they thought about Kamala Harris. They all told me they liked the name. Well, there you go. There you go. So that is a scientific representation from WWG1 on the Rumble side. There you go. Now, where this vice presidential fight is headed, or at least what it's down to, according to Reuters, and this just broke this evening, and I'll pop this up on screen, Kamala Harris, vice presidential choice, narrows down to Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota and Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, sources say. Article by Nandita Bose and Andrea Shalal, we have the following. Democrat presidential candidate Kamala Harris has narrowed her search for a vice presidential running mate down to two finalists, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Three sources with knowledge of the matter said on Monday. Harris, the U.S. vice president, is expected to announce her selection by Tuesday, ahead of her first scheduled public appearance with her running mate that evening at Temple University in Philadelphia. It was unclear if a final decision has been made, the sources said. The rally will kick off a 5-day, 7-city tour of the battleground states likely to decide the November 5th election. The choice of a running mate is one of the most consequential decisions of Harris's political career, as she hastily pulls together a campaign to challenge Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump and U.S. Senator J.D. Vance, his vice presidential pick, in the November 5th election. Vance will also make a campaign stop in South Philly on Tuesday. Shapiro, 51, is a rising star of the party with strong approval ratings in Pennsylvania, whose 19 electoral votes make it a must-win state for both Harris and Trump. A former state attorney general, Shapiro would add to the ticket's historical significance. He'd be the country's first Jewish vice president, while Harris is seeking to become the first Black and South Asian American woman elected to the presidency. Shapiro's strong support for Israel could alienate some progressive voters, though it could also appeal to moderate voters and defang Republican efforts to turn the Israel-Gaza war into a wedge issue for Democrats. Walz is 60, is a former U.S. Army National Guard member and a former teacher who has raised his profile in recent weeks as being an effective advocate for Harris. He has attacked Trump and Vance as weird, a viral insult the Harris campaign has embraced. A former member of Congress from a Republican-leaning district, Walz has proven appeal to rural white voters, though he has also championed progressive policies as governor, such as free school meals and expanded paid worker leave. While Minnesota is a solidly Democratic state, it is close to Wisconsin and Michigan, two crucial battlegrounds. Speculation had focused on 6 finalists, 4 governors, a senator, and a cabinet secretary in the Biden administration, all white men with record of winning over rural, white, or independent voters. In addition to Shapiro and Walz, contenders included U.S. Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Well, there you go. Up in Connecticut, I saw that. I saw your comment. I'm not going to put it up yet. I am not going to put that up yet, but it deserves some commentary. Now, from somebody who is in the know all the time, Jack Posobiec, when Eric Holder and John Fetterman are both warning to avoid Josh Shapiro, that's the definition of there's a there. So, and by the way, and again, maybe he was just, trolling for what it was worth, but Chris LaCivita, who was the co-campaign manager for the Trump campaign, is hearing that it is not Josh Shapiro for Veep. With that said, this image has been taken and is now circulating around social media. This is supposedly just outside of Governor Tim Walz's residence in Minnesota. I live outside of Tim Walz's residence. A bunch of black SUVs just rolled out. I'm not a betting man, but the vibe is this guy just got picked as Veep. So, it runs 9 seconds. Take it for what it's worth. Now, I am going to do my best right now to keep my yap shut about this. I'm going to wait till tomorrow morning. I've got a feeling I know who it is. And of course, I could always be dead wrong. But if it's who I think it is, then it says a lot, and I mean a lot, about Kamala Harris. And I'll just tease my commentary with that. And I know it may not seem like much of a tease, but if she picks who I think she's getting ready to pick, it's going to say a lot about her. And I will take it one step further. If she picks who I think she's getting ready to pick, she's getting ready to make the biggest mistake so far that she's made in this very young campaign of hers for the White House. If she picks who I think she's getting ready to pick. So now Zippy asked the question, didn't she already flub that it's Shapiro, LOL? Well, now that wasn't her, strictly speaking. Strictly speaking, that was not her. That was the mayor of Philadelphia. And I think that was being done to try to pressure Kamala Harris into picking Josh Shapiro. That did not come from the Harris campaign. On this, I think you're absolutely right. She's not making the decision on the Veep. Somebody else is. Like I said, if she picks who I think she's about to pick, it's going to speak a ton about her decision-making process and whether or not she has made an enormous mistake. Now, I can just hear what somebody out there is thinking right now. Oh, vice presidents don't make a difference on who gets elected president. That's true. But in some cases, the choice can tell you a whole lot about what somebody's thinking. TBA says, you got to give us a clue so we know if you guessed right. Okay. All right. I'll give you this kind of a clue. I'll give you this much of a clue. If she picks who I think she's going to pick, and by the way, I kind of agree with other people. I don't think that's Shapiro. But if she picks who I think she's getting ready to pick, it's going to speak a ton about how much risk she's willing to take. WWG1 says, Kamala Harris picked me first for vice president and I declined. Well, by golly, you better have declined Kamala Harris's invitation to run as her Veep. Otherwise, I will have nothing good to say. If you had said yes to that, WWG1, I would have said nothing good to say about you, daggone it. Shame on you, sir. Shame on you. How rude. How rude. Yeah, I agree with this. I agree. And I agree with this too. Darling, from your lips to God's ear. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Yeah, like I say, if she picks who I think she's about to pick, it's going to speak a whole lot to her risk tolerance level. And if she does pick who I think it's going to be, she's going to have made one of the biggest mistakes of the campaign. I really do believe that. From an electoral college standpoint, she's going to have made a big mistake. Because if she picks who I think she's getting ready to pick, they bring nothing to her in terms of benefit for the electoral college. Nothing. But we'll see. We'll see. You know. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. WWG1. You got now we got WWG1 piping. You got to give me a clue. Who is it? All right. All right. I'll just go ahead and tell you. No, it's not going to be AOC. Although, God, I would give a lot of money to watch that happen. Please, God, let her pick AOC. I think she's going to pick Tim Walz. I really do. Good evening, Professor. Glad to have you here with us. And by the way, Christian Watson is cranking out videos left and right. If you are not subscribed to Christian Watson's channel, Pensive Politics on YouTube, what the heck is the matter with you? Go give this man a sub. He's working his fingers to the bone. You know, absolutely. No, okay. To get back to what I was saying, I really think she's going to pick Walz. Now, TBA says, why would she do that, in your opinion? Two reasons. Number one, if she picks Tim Walz, and again, I could wind up being dead wrong tomorrow morning. Okay, I could wake up and find out she's picked Shapiro. So I come in with that caveat. And good evening to you, sir. Another fine content creator in social media. Ladies and gentlemen, give Real Talk with Darius a sub. This guy's cranking out material. He is up and coming. By all means, subscribe to this man's channel. I got internet royalty in here now. I got Leah Cole. I got Real Talk with Darius. I got Christian Watson. I got Robert Lowry. I got people all over the place, man. This is like the place to be. Now, Christian, let me ask you a question. You know, and I'm glad you brought up. I know you've mentioned in the past that you are a Pennsylvanian. Let me ask you something. Is Josh Shapiro? Well, let me back it up and do it this way. John Fetterman supposedly is telling Harris through back channels, don't take Shapiro. This guy's a backstabber. He will put the knife into your back. I mean, has Fetterman got some kind of beef with Shapiro, or he genuinely thinks, oh yeah, he'll put the knife in your back. Don't take him. I mean, and if you don't want to answer that, Christian, if you don't want to answer that question, that's fine. You're a native Pennsylvanian. I thought I'd ask you, but if you don't want to answer it, that's cool. But is Fetterman legitimate with his concerns about Shapiro, or does Fetterman have some kind of a beef with the governor? Just curious. All right, to get back to TBA's question, why would she pick Walz? I think there are two reasons. Number one, if she takes Tim Walz, it neutralizes a problem. See, from my perspective, taking Josh Shapiro is the politically smart thing to do because you're at least fighting for Pennsylvania. You would be sending the signal out to Democrats all across the country that this is a campaign that you are absolutely fighting. You're absolutely fighting for every electoral vote you can get, and daggone it, you are going to make a heavy play for the Midwest, and it starts in L.A. And it starts in PA, Starts in PA. She's already got L.A. and New York City. But she'd be sending the signal to Democrats all across the country that I'm going to make a fight for the Midwest, and daggone it, I'm taking Josh Shapiro because I've got to have Pennsylvania, and he's the man that can deliver it to me. Now, that said, Josh Shapiro comes with a crap pile of baggage, okay? And my friend Christian Watson here, you know, and other natives of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania can speak to Shapiro's record. I mean, I love his comment here. Shapiro's record as AG is more devious than his gubernatorial one. I think Fetterman sees that. Shapiro is known for covering up abuse to protect his allies. Okay. All right. Fair point. And I've heard this same thing, by the way. There's a case that was ruled a suicide by supposedly a suicide by a young lady. And in this suicide, she stabbed herself 28 times. I don't quite know how you stab yourself 28 times if you're committing suicide, but whatever. Anyway, But yeah, I've heard the same thing about Shapiro. But anyway, taking Shapiro would be the smart thing to do politically. You're making a very strong play for Pennsylvania and its 19 electoral votes. Okay? But let's be honest. Shapiro is a Jew and devoutly Jewish, by the way. Okay? He is pro-Israel. He has made statements on behalf of Israel. In the Democrat Party right now, there is a very, very large and loud Muslim American contingent that is not happy with Israel right now, nor are they happy with politicians that support Israel. Okay, you make a play for Pennsylvania, you risk Michigan, and you risk Minnesota. Okay. If you take, now, to get back to the question, why take Tim Walz? Number one, if you take Walz, you neutralize that whole problem. Okay? You will totally take it off the table. Okay? You don't have to deal with that. Oh, I did hear that correctly. I did hear that case correctly, and Shapiro protected one of his allies from justice from sexual assault charges. Ooh, okay. Like I said, Shapiro comes with baggage. But if you pick Tim Walz, you take that whole, Jewish versus Muslim American issue off the table for the Democrats. Reason number two, don't let Tim Walz fool you. Tim Walz is a full-on pedal to the metal, gas in the can liberal. Okay? He's the governor of Minnesota. He did not get there by being some kind of rock rib conservative. Okay, now he might be folksy and he might have charm, but he's just as much a lefty as Kamala would be. Okay? But now to me, and again, you guys can be totally free to disagree with me on this. If she takes Tim Walz, what does that say about her willingness to take risks? Now, I am serious about this. I'm genuinely serious when I ask this question. Now, let me give you the contrast, and I'll tell you why I'm asking it. All right, look. Donald Trump had any number of choices for vice president. He could have taken Rubio. He could have taken Tim Scott. He could have taken any number of people, but he took J.D. Vance. Okay? Now, you and I, and we can all sit here and debate whether or not J.D. Vance is a good pick, a bad pick. Is he good in the short term? Is he good in the long run? Is he bad in the long run, bad in the short term? Whatever. Okay? But a lot of people were trying to tell Trump up front, don't take Vance. He's got too much baggage. He's got too much risk. Don't do it. You can take other people and play it safe, yada, yada, yada. Okay? He took Vance. In spite of the advice being given to him by Lindsey Graham, by establishment Republicans, probably by John Bolton, by, if you believe the reports, Rupert Murdoch was sending people down to Mar-a-Lago every stinking day trying to get Donald Trump. Don't do it. Don't take Vance. Don't take him. Don't pick him. Yada, yada, yada. Trump did it anyway. Trump said, you know what? I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to do it. Now, yeah, there were people advocating for Vance. I'm not disputing any of that. Okay. Don't get me wrong. Tucker Carlson was pushing for Vance. Donald Trump Jr. was pushing for Vance. Okay. But in the end, the decision was Trump's and he took the risk. Now, politically speaking, he'll live and die with that choice, but he took the risk. If Kamala takes Tim Walz, what does that say about her willingness to take risk? Now, sometimes taking a risk, you take a risk, it doesn't work. I get that. It doesn't matter if it's politics or life or anything else. But at least you've got the willingness to gamble for, a better outcome than what you got right now. I mean, right or wrong, Trump in that moment of choosing who he wanted for the vice presidential nominee took the risk. She won't. Or let me rephrase that. She may not. What does that say about her decision making? What does that say about her willingness What does that say about her willingness to, you know what, my dear, you said it better. I was looking for a way to say this, but I think you summed it up beautifully here. He has the guts to take the risk. She doesn't have the courage, the confidence to take the risk. And I think that's, and you know what, that word confidence, I think you nailed it. I mean this. And I'm not sucking up here. I genuinely mean it. You've got to have a certain amount of confidence in yourself to be able to take a risk. I don't know if she does. If she picks Walz, and again, come tomorrow morning, I could wind up with having Major League egg on my face. She might turn around and pick Shapiro. I don't know. But if she takes Walz, I just don't see how it helps her from an electoral college standpoint. And I don't see how it helps her, nationwide. Like I said, Tim Walz is just as much a lefty as Kamala is. Shapiro would give you a fighting chance for Pennsylvania. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, and Rich Barris made this point today on his live stream, and I agree with him. Look, Josh Shapiro is going to crank up the machinery in Pennsylvania for Kamala Harris, whether he's on the ticket or not. Now, if he's on the ticket, he has even more incentive to crank up his machinery. We'll have more incentive to crank up the machinery. Okay? But he'll do it either way. Okay? You pick Tim Walz, yeah, Shapiro's going to try and turn out the vote, but does he really have all the incentive to do it? He's not on the ticket. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, from an electoral college standpoint, Tim Walz brings you nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, yeah, like I said, it might neutralize this whole, simmering feud inside the Democrat Party between Jewish voters and Islamic voters, but that's about all it's going to do. Minnesota, look, odds are Minnesota is going to go to the Democrats in November. I would have argued that if Biden stays on the ticket, he loses Minnesota, but now with Kamala, they just might hang on to it. So what does Tim Walz give you in terms of electoral college advantage? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I don't know. I mean, like I say, I could wind up being wrong tomorrow morning, but if she picks Walz, I think it's one of the biggest mistakes she will have made so far in this campaign. Again, she could still win, but this doesn't help her do it. Just saying. I am going to save. I've got a piece from Victor Davis Hanson. I'm going to save it for tomorrow night, and we're going to get into the news nightcap. And it's top of the hour, so let me do one last quick commercial. This live stream is known as Chattin on the Porch. Your host is known as the Front Porch Conservative. My real name is Brian Trippett. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, would you please do me a favor and give me a sub? I'd genuinely appreciate it. We sit together Monday through Thursday nights around 7:30 Eastern. We talk about the news. We're on Rumble, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. Please subscribe to my channel on both places, Rumble and YouTube. Also, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell for notifications, share the link around for the video. We'd appreciate it. Okay, the nightcap. Couple of stories from today, and Jamie Raskin of Maryland. This guy knows how to rear his ugly head in a big way. In a big way. And Raskin said something today that frankly ought to scare a lot of people to death. Everybody talks about how Donald Trump is the threat to democracy in America. Well, I don't know about you guys, but Raskin's got a statement here, runs about a minute. I want you guys to hear this. Listen very carefully to what Jamie Raskin says in this clip. And with that, we'll play it right now.
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress. So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring that.
Did you catch what he just said? It's up to Congress on January 6, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mob that he is disqualified. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard what the last line of defense is for the Democrat Party in this election. If he's serious, and I have no reason to believe he's not, that means if the Democrats control the Congress on January 6th, they will, if Trump wins the election, they will stop him. They will not certify the electors. So yeah, and Trump's the danger to democracy. There you go, people. There you go. I will say this. There's just one thing in his statement, and no one's proven this yet. He's right. The 14th Amendment, Section 3, says that if you have committed insurrection against the government of the United States, you are disqualified from office. There's just one little problem with that. No one's ever proven yet Donald Trump committed insurrection. Just saying. Zippy over on Rumble with a Rumble rant, and thank you very much for that, good sir. Democrats want civil war, so they are the real Confederates after all. Aristocrats, man. Yeah. You got it, buddy. You got it. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, sir. Yeah, I did. He a big time punk. He a big time punk. Just saying. All right, I tell you what. Let's end this night with something kind of fun. And how many of you guys are familiar with a young man named Aiden Ross? Give me an F in chat if you've heard of this kid. He's a young guy. I mean, I didn't hear about him until just recently. But then again, I don't necessarily hang out on his platform either. Aiden Ross is a young man. Okay, all right. We have somebody who's heard of this. We've had a fellow who's heard of this guy. All right. What are you laughing about? What? I mean, look, I know I'm an old geezer, but okay, all right. So we have had people who have heard of Aiden Ross. Okay.
Well, Darius, at my age, I do good just to read the paper anymore and know what the heck's going on in the world now.
Who the F? Well, okay, I'm getting to that. Aiden Ross is a young guy on a platform known as Kick, and apparently he's a video game streamer. Okay, and apparently he's fairly popular. I didn't know that much about the young man. He recently, on his live stream on Kick, so he's 23 years old. Okay, all right. 23-year-old young man who has a live stream on a platform known as Kick, and and recently he came out and endorsed Donald Trump, and apparently he's a very influential fellow. Well, he got invited down to Mar-a-Lago. And I guess he did a almost 2-hour live stream at Mar-a-Lago with former President Trump, and I guess it went fairly well from the sound of it. Just to give you an idea of how well it went, Aiden Ross apparently is quite taken with Trump because he did something today. Not that Trump needed one more car in his life, but you guys have got to see this. Aiden Ross, this live streamer on the platform known as Kick, presented Donald Trump with a Cybertruck. You got to see this. Check this out. This will blow your mind. Anyway, with that, watch this.
Quick, just I want to show them the rap. Sure. Check out this rap and let me know your honest thoughts.
I think it's incredible. I think it's incredible.
Go to the front.
So you know what they did? AI. What Google did is they took, or they let it happen. See the Secret Service agency?
Yeah.
They're angry in there. They put smiles on their face.
Right.
You heard about that?
Yeah, no.
God, it's just terrible.
Yeah, I know. But that's how easy it is to manipulate everything.
It's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had heard the same exact thing. 600,000 people watching this live stream. It's incredible. And they talked about all kinds of different issues, et cetera and so on. So after Mr. Aiden Ross presents Trump with this vehicle, they sit down inside, they're picking out music. And at the end of it, Donald Trump and Aiden Ross kind of get out and boogie down together. So I'll pop this up here. So yeah. And they're jamming to the YMCA by the Village People and all that good stuff. So yeah, kind of a fun thing down at Mar-a-Lago today. I just found the whole thing kind of amazing, to be perfectly honest. And I give Trump credit. I mean, cryptocurrency. He's talking with young people, with Aiden Ross. He's making a play for the young vote, which a 78-year-old man running for president, you wouldn't think would be doing this sort of thing. But I found this to be interesting. Now, what does it mean in the long run? I don't know yet. I don't know. I mean, we will absolutely see what happens here. But yeah, I thought that was well, you know what? If the truth be told, Elvis is probably hanging out at Mar-a-Lago. That's probably why Trump likes him so much. He's probably got his own private room down there and just kind of has room service brought to him every so often. And, Trump picks up the bill for Elvis and, all that good stuff. So I'm not surprised at all that Trump likes Elvis. I mean, if you had the king of rock and roll hanging out at Mar-a-Lago at your house all the time, you kind of like the guy too. I mean, you can just see the private dinner parties. Mr. Presley, a very prestigious member of the club. He's got a room over in the east wing of Mar-a-Lago. Very private. Yeah, he's still just as big as he ever was. Could go out and do a concert in Vegas tomorrow. But we kind of let him have his moment. Just over in the east wing. Very big, still very big. Huge crowds gather over there. Huge crowds. Anyway. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's wrap it up, gang. Let's bring this train into the station. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight for Chatting on the Porch. We will be back tomorrow night, 7:30. We will analyze the choice that Kamala Harris makes for vice president and see if we can figure out what it means. Like I said, I've got my opinions already, but let's see who it is. Let's see what the reaction is. And we'll find out what's going to happen. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about a whole bunch of other things. So thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to the channel. We would really, really appreciate it. I would love to have your support if you're not a subscriber already. I want to thank everybody for being here. Zippy, thank you for the Rumble rants as always. I want to thank WWG1, Zippy, TBA, everybody over on YouTube, Darius, Gypsy, M169 up in Connecticut, Christian, Leah, mwah, baby, so good to see you tonight. Love all you guys. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7:30. And remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, more money." We'll see you Tuesday night at 7:30. Come on back.